Welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by Play Picks and the Lines, coming to you from the West Coast. Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. We are looking at a very small 3-game slate on Tuesday night tonight. We're going to bring you each and every one of those games with some player props sprinkled in. So make sure you are liked and subscribed to that page, and check out Nate's article up on playpicks.com covering all the action tonight. And as always, if you do still need a FanDuel or DraftKings account, head to fdpicks.com or dkpicks.com and find those listings in your area. Right now, we are looking at Brooklyn headed to Dallas to take on the possibly Luka-less Dallas Mavericks. We'll take a look at that one and all of those lines tonight. Nate, let's just get into it.
Yeah, I mean, despite the Luka news right now, the spread is holding steady with the Mavs as plus 3.5 dogs at home. The total has been creeping up from 215 to now 218.5. So something to monitor there. Could be an exploitable under. The other two games tonight, we got Knicks, who are minus 2.5 at the Spurs. Spurs are on a back-to-back situation. Total is 210.5 there. Not moving too much. And then the high-profile matchup, probably the reason the NBA only has 3 games tonight. Celtics at Lakers. We got the Lakers are 2.5-point favorites at home. And that total opened a bit too low, around 216. It's now around 220, given the Lakers' offensive prowess there. But we're sticking with Nets, Mavs tonight. And honestly, what might be the best bet tonight, especially if you can get some good action on the money line. The Nets have been money in terms of winning, but not covering kind of big spreads. In fact, they're 0-8 in their last 8 as favorites against the spread. But you know, they've been winning straight up, 9 of their last 11. They're 7-1 straight up when road favorites, and 6-0 after a loss. Just lost to Chicago on Saturday. That's their 7th loss of the season. And you look at all of them, they're all just quality losses against like the Bulls teams, the Heat when they were on fire, the Bucks, the Warriors, and the Suns. The Nets are not losing to bad teams ever. And they're taking care of business. In the one spot where they were underdogs recently at Boston, that was they're really their only cover in their last 9. But I think, you readjust every time you get a smaller spread like this. And do I think they can win by 4 points in Dallas? Absolutely. Dallas is just awful in clutch time in particular. They have the 27th offensive rating and second worst net rating in those clutch situations, the last 5 minutes of games within 5 points. Brooklyn happens to be 8-2 with the 3rd best net rating in those clutch situations. Not a surprise when you have Harden and Durant to close there. And Brooklyn's just been money on the road lately in particular. 6-1 with the best net rating by far in their last 7 road games. Won 5 straight on the road. In their last 8 overall, scoring very efficiently in the mid-range, assisting. That's why I would look at some James Harden props. We can circle back to that later. And then just the Mavericks in their last 5 at home, 1-4, -8 net rating, and 27th in offense. I mean, we always take the low-hanging fruit to dump on Jason Kidd in this podcast, but he's just doing a poor job. I mean, maybe it's not a knock on him. He's replacing a veteran who's doing a fantastic job with maybe a somewhat flawed roster, Rick Carlisle, and just coach them into becoming an elite defense during the second half of last year. Kid can't seem to get the offense going, and the defense is not anywhere near where it was there. So just below average numbers from Dallas across the board, especially lately. In their last 9, they're 2-7, and they have a -3 offensive rating. Their only 2 covers with Luka Doncic were against the Pelicans and the Clippers when they were really struggling. Otherwise, they covered big spreads without Luka. So that's the angle I'm looking at, Josh, is if you can bet this now before Luka's in or out, you're good on the Nets. But if it rises, I think the Mavs can still cover, an 8-9 point spread against these Nets who don't really put teams away until late. And that's why they just haven't been covering.
Yeah, and you want to find any kind of advantage to see if Dallas, if Luka comes back, is there tonight, first of all, just making that clear. If Luka's not back tonight, this will continue to rise. As soon as he is ruled out officially, if he is, then this will just, fly up as well. So I see no problem in taking this right now because of the fact that Brooklyn can cover this spread at its current size, even if Luka does play. And if he does play, you still expect him to be a little bit hobbled. And there's no real advantage for the Mavs playing at home here because of what you mentioned about how good Brooklyn is on the road. And they've really increased that. They actually score 3 more points on the road than they do when they're at home. And they give up about the same amount of points each game, about 106, which for this team is a lot better than we actually probably predicted it was going to be. And that's a big reason for why I think they're still able to pull out games and keep their record in that tops in the East right now and where they're at, remaining a top 3 seed the whole time. We've been watching Brooklyn play and going, oh, this looks bad. There's nothing here. They need Kyrie, whatever. And yet they're still a top 3 seed in the East and still positioned to go ahead and have home court advantage and be able to make a run. So, that's in large part because of the fact that they played defense at a clip that wasn't even close to what they did last year. And they also, look, Brooklyn's home court advantage is what it is. It's not quite, the Los Angeles Chargers lack of home court advantage, if you will. But it is definitely, something to take a look at in terms of why they might be playing so much better on the road anyway, is that it's not really much of a difference there, to be honest. So, I think right now for me, I'm not really too feeling very confident about that total now that it's been bet up like that. I would feel good about an under, actually, if it keeps getting to this point, mostly because of the fact that this offense tonight has to play choppy. They have to mess it up. And even if Luka's in the game, they're still going to have that half court offense as they don't really get out and run. And they're not anywhere near they're closer to the bottom in the league in those fast break points and pace of play. So, I would prefer an under here as it keeps getting bet up. But right now, mostly I'm just feeling really, really good about that Brooklyn Nets game right there with them going ahead and being able to cover that small spread as it is. And really not worry about trying to get cute with this game and parlaying things and teasing around. Unless, like you said, if Luka comes in and I haven't put a bet yet on the Brooklyn Nets, which I've already let you know, I'm doing that right now. But if you haven't, then at that point, like you said, I wouldn't feel very as good about, that 7-8 point spread that Brooklyn has failed to cover, as you mentioned, roughly 8 times that in the last eight chances that they've had.
Yeah, and you can, if you need a teaser, we'll talk about the Celtics at the Lakers tonight. Getting them up to 6 or 7 seems pretty comfortable, or getting that total down to where it started. But yeah, at 3-4 points, no problem with that. You're looking at a Mavs team that's been scoring the 7th highest percentage off threes, and Brooklyn's number 1 in 3-point defense. So that right off the bat is trouble. Tim Hardaway Jr.'s day to day, and if he doesn't play, then that's certainly trouble in that regard. They're 28th in percentage of points scored in the paint. And if Kristaps Porzingis is playing, which he's probable, that would certainly help the under by denying Brooklyn some access to the paint. But the other angle I'm just looking at is James Harden to bounce back from just a rough shooting stretch. For 2 games, he's shot under 30%. But he's been, as we've mentioned, just really turning up his offense lately, especially since Joe Harris went down, and the Nets need him to really be that scorer. 28% usage rate, 21.7 points and 10 assists per game over his last 10. And he's got 70 dimes in his last 6. So you look at a Dallas team that allows the 3rd highest field goal percentage at home. You assume there's going to be some good dimes there. Harden to get 31.5 points and assists is about even money. But since we're so confident about a Nets win, get that juice on the money line. Harden 10 assists in a win, plus 220 at FanDuel. And that's the kind of action we're looking for, where you get the money line with something else so that it's not just the minus 160 the money line is at. And you get the Nets to win with one other outcome.
Absolutely. That's exactly where I'm going to for any player props today. Getting that extra juice on the player performance doubles on FanDuel, specifically with, right now I'm looking at Patty Mills myself. Last 10 games, he's averaging 17.5. And you mentioned a little bit of a downtick in Harden's shooting as of late. And in his last 10, Patty Mills has sort of taken advantage of that to the tune of 17.5 points a game. You can get him 15 points tonight and a win for Brooklyn, that's plus 280 on your money. Really love the juice that you get there for Patty to score, as that's what he does in this offense, and brings a little bit of that spark, as they don't he's definitely not even close to a poor man's Kyrie at this point, but he's definitely able to provide that shooting, especially with Joe Harris, as you mentioned, still out. That 3-point shooting is coming from Patty Mills a lot. And so 17.5 points a game in his last 10, only needs 15 tonight with that Brooklyn victory to get you almost 3 times the amount on your money in return there. So feel pretty good about that. Feel really good about Brooklyn tonight. And I know we're going to be checking out this game, as there's only 3 of them. So make sure you are liked and subscribed to that page. Got all the other games, both of the other games rather, up tonight, and a gift card opportunity that you do need to be subscribed to the video and page to be eligible for. So stay tuned for that. And until we see you next, happy betting.